They say every trial has a moment where everything hinges on a single decision. A question answered, an objection sustained, a piece of evidence admitted. As Judge Patricia Martinez stood before me, revealing herself as the administrator after decades of hiding in plain sight, I realized this was my moment. And unlike every trial I'd ever argued, I wasn't going to win this one with words. I was going to win it with the one thing I'd learned from 12 years of corruption. Sometimes you have to become what you're fighting to destroy it. They took us to a place I never expected, the federal courthouse. The same building where I'd been disbarred. The same halls where I'd argued cases for years. But instead of taking us to courtrooms or chambers, they led us deep underground to levels that shouldn't exist. Most people don't know about the sub-basements, Judge Martinez said as we descended in a service elevator that required her fingerprint to activate. Built during the Cold War as fallout shelters. Perfect for private meetings away from surveillance. The elevator opened onto a corridor lit by emergency lighting. At the end was a door marked, "Authorized personnel only." Behind it was a space that looked like a combination of law library and operations center. Legal texts lining the walls, computer stations monitoring various feeds, and a conference table surrounded by leather chairs. "Welcome to where the real decisions get made," Martinez said, gesturing for us to sit. Her armed contractors positioned themselves at exits. Maya gripped my hand. "Victoria, what's happening?" "The administrator is showing us her kingdom," I said, keeping my voice steady. "She wants us to understand how powerless we are." Martinez smiled. "Not powerless. Powerless would be killing you. I'm offering something far more valuable, a choice. But first, you need to understand what you've been fighting against." She pulled up files on a massive screen. Financial records, case outcomes, judicial appointments going back 30 years. I've been building this network since I was a junior prosecutor. I watched guilty people walk free because they could afford better lawyers. I watched innocent people go to prison because they couldn't. The system was already corrupt, Victoria. I just made it efficient. You took bribes. You manipulated evidence. You destroyed lives. I created predictability in an unpredictable system. Before my network, case outcomes depended on luck, bias, and which judge happened to be assigned. With my system, outcomes depend on clear factors: payment, risk assessment, strategic value. It's honest corruption instead of dishonest chaos. She pulled up more files. Thousands of cases, hundreds of attorneys, dozens of judges. All color-coded by their level of involvement in her network. Morrison was just one regional manager. I have 17 others operating across the country. Amanda, Sarah, David Kim, all middle management. The syndicate, Whitmore and Associates, every network you've exposed, they were all either my subsidiaries or competitors I wanted eliminated. And I helped you eliminate them, I said bitterly. You were perfect. Brilliant, idealistic, compromised just enough to be controllable. I've been cultivating you since law school, Victoria. The bar exam fraud wasn't coincidence. Sarah recruited you on my orders. Every major case you've taken was assigned to build your reputation. Every victory you won made you more valuable to me. She sat down across from us. You've spent 12 years unknowingly working for the administrator. Now I'm offering you a chance to do it knowingly. Join my network officially. Use your talents to help me refine the system. And I'll ensure you and Maya live comfortable, successful lives. And if we refuse? Martinez's expression hardened. Then you become examples. Cautionary tales about what happens to people who fight the inevitable. Your deaths will be tragic, but not suspicious. A murder-suicide, perhaps. Distraught lawyer kills sister and self after disbarment. The story writes itself. Maya spoke for the first time. You're insane. You're a federal judge. You're supposed to uphold the law, not the law. Martinez laughed. The law is whatever judges say it is. I've been interpreting it for 30 years. I've shaped precedent, influenced policy, trained other judges in my philosophy. The law isn't some abstract ideal. It's a tool. And I'm simply a skilled craftsman. She stood and walked to a cabinet, pulling out a bottle of expensive whiskey and 3 glasses. Let me tell you what's going to happen. In 3 hours, the director of Sentinel Solutions will be found dead in their apartment. The fake death you staged? I'll make it real. I'll send contractors to kill whoever you've been working with, and I'll use your fabricated evidence to cover my tracks. My blood went cold. You said you believed the director was dead. I said I wanted to see if you'd actually go through with it. You didn't, you staged it. Clever, but predictable. I've been monitoring Sentinel's operations for months. I know the director is alive, I know where they operate, and I know that within hours they won't be a problem anymore. She poured 3 glasses. But here's the interesting part. I'm going to let you make one phone call. Warn them if you want. Tell them I'm coming. See if they can mount a defense. Why would you give us that chance? Because it doesn't matter. Even if they fortify their position, even if they call in every asset they have, I control the federal response. FBI, federal marshals, NYPD, all compromised at levels you can't imagine. Your friends at Sentinel are good, but they can't fight city infrastructure. She slid a phone across the table. 1 call. Make it count. I stared at the phone. It was another test, another manipulation. If I called Sentinel, I'd confirm their location and operations. If I didn't, they'd be attacked without warning. Before I make that call, I said slowly, I need to know something. The 17 regional managers you mentioned. Are they here? In New York? Martinez raised an eyebrow. Why? Because if I'm going to join your network, I want to understand its full scope. I want to meet the people I'd be working with. She studied me for a long moment. You're stalling. I'm negotiating. You offered me a position. I want to understand what that position entails before accepting. Martinez smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. Fine. Let me show you the full scope of what you'd be joining. She pressed a button on a remote control. A hidden door opened in the wall, revealing another room. Inside were people I recognized. Attorneys I'd faced in court. Judges I'd argued before. Prosecutors I'd negotiated with. At least 20 people, all watching us through one-way glass. Everyone you've ever faced in significant cases, Martinez said. All part of my network. Every victory you won, every legal argument you made, every strategy you employed, they reported it all to me. You were never really fighting, Victoria. You were performing for an audience that already knew the outcome. I felt sick. Every case I'd thought I'd won through skill and strategy had been predetermined. Every impossible victory had been allowed to happen because it served Martinez's purposes. Now you understand, she continued. There is no fighting this. There is no exposing this. It's too big, too deep, too integrated into every level of the system. Your only choice is to join or die. That's when I started laughing. Not forced laughter, not hysterical breakdown laughter. Real, genuine laughter. Martinez frowned. What's funny? You. This whole elaborate display. You've been so focused on proving how powerful you are, how integrated your network is, how impossible it would be to fight you. But you made the same mistake Morrison made. The same mistake they all make. And what mistake is that? You told me everything. You brought me to your command center. You showed me your network. You gathered your regional managers. You revealed the full scope of your operations. I leaned forward. You did exactly what the director predicted you'd do. Martinez's expression changed. What are you talking about? The director didn't just recruit me to fight corruption. They recruited me to be bait. To draw you out. To make you so confident in your victory that you'd reveal everything. I pulled at my jacket collar, revealing a tiny device. This isn't a tracking device. It's a broadcaster. Everything you've said for the past 30 minutes has been transmitted to every news organization in the country, every FBI field office, and every federal judge not in this room. The color drained from Martinez's face. That's impossible. We scanned you. We found the tracking devices. You found the decoys. This device uses a different frequency, piggybacks on the courthouse's own communication systems. Jake Morrison designed it specifically for this moment. You couldn't detect it because it's part of your own infrastructure. I stood up, pulling Maya with me. And those 20 people watching through the glass? They're not just watching us. They're being broadcast too. Every face identified, every connection documented. By now, federal agents are moving on locations across the country. Martinez's hand moved to her weapon, but I was faster. Not with a gun, I'm a lawyer, not a soldier. But with words. You could kill us. But it won't matter. The evidence is already out there. Your network is already exposed. Every judge, every attorney, every corrupt official. all being rounded up by the parts of the federal system you don't control. She pulled her gun anyway. If I'm going down, you're coming with me. No, a voice said from the doorway. She's not. The director stepped into the room. Not digitally obscured, not hiding behind modulation. A real person, finally visible. It was someone I'd never expected. Someone who'd been part of this story from the beginning, always in the background, always watching. It was Jake Morrison. Jake. I stared in disbelief. You're the director? Surprise, he said, walking calmly into the room despite Martinez's gun being pointed at him. I've been running Sentinel since I founded it 8 years ago. The forensic analyst persona was cover. I needed to be close to cases, close to evidence, close to people like you who could help me expose corruption. Behind him, tactical teams poured through multiple entrances. Real federal agents, verified credentials, completely outside Martinez's network. How? Martinez demanded. I controlled federal response. I had agents in every department. You had agents in every department you knew about. But there's a division you never detected. A task force built specifically to investigate judicial corruption, operating completely off-book, funded by seized assets from previous corruption cases. We've been building this case against you for 6 years. Jake, the director, pulled out a tablet showing real-time feeds of arrests happening across the country. Judges being led out of courthouses in handcuffs. Attorneys being detained at their offices. The 17 regional managers being simultaneously apprehended. Your network had a fundamental vulnerability, Jake continued. You kept records. Financial transactions, case assignments, performance reviews of your corrupt judges. You ran it like a business, which meant business records. Once Victoria gave us access to this facility, we had everything. Martinez's gun hand wavered. You can't prove anything. I'll claim you fabricated evidence. You'll be convicted by your own recorded confession, I interrupted. Every word you said about running the network, about controlling cases, about killing the real director, all recorded, all admissible, all devastating. She looked at the gun, at us, at the federal agents surrounding her. For a moment, I thought she might shoot anyway. Go out in a blaze of defiance. Instead, she lowered the weapon and smiled. Clever. But it's not over. I have contingencies you haven't imagined. People in positions you'll never identify. You've cut off the head, but the body will survive. Maybe, Jake said. But we've been preparing for that too. The arrests took 3 days to complete. 247 individuals across the country charged with corruption, racketeering, and conspiracy. 17 federal judges, 43 state judges, 96 attorneys, and dozens of support personnel. The legal world was in chaos. Courts had to reassign thousands of cases. The Bar Association launched emergency investigations. The Department of Justice announced a comprehensive review of judicial appointments going back 3 decades. I watched it unfold from Sentinel's operations center, no longer a prisoner but not quite a free agent either. You used me, I said to Jake as we reviewed the arrest reports. I recruited you. There's a difference. You chose to expose corruption. I just gave you the tools and opportunities to do it effectively. You let me think I was in danger. Let me believe my life was falling apart. Your life was falling apart. That part was real. The corruption you exposed, the threats you faced, the choices you made, all genuine. I couldn't protect you from consequences. I could only ensure those consequences led somewhere meaningful. Maya walked in, finally released from medical observation. She'd been checked for injuries, trauma, any lasting effects from the kidnapping. So what happens now? She asked. Do we go back to normal life? Jake laughed. Define normal. Victoria's still disbarred for 5 years. Her reputation is split between hero and controversial figure. She's unhireable in traditional legal positions. Thanks for the reminder, I said dryly. But, Jake continued, Sentinel needs a legal director. Someone who understands corruption from the inside, who can identify networks before they become entrenched, who can navigate the gray areas between law enforcement and vigilante justice. You're offering me a job? I'm offering you a purpose. The work we do isn't glamorous. It doesn't get you courtroom victories or professional accolades. But it makes a real difference. We've returned $847 million to victims. We've exposed corruption at the highest levels. And we're just getting started. I thought about it. 5 years until I could practice law again. 5 years of being Victoria Sterling, disbarred attorney, notorious for confessing to fraud. Or 5 years of being Victoria Sterling, Sentinel's legal director, fighting corruption that official channels couldn't touch. What about Martinez's claim? I asked. She said she has contingencies, people we haven't identified. She probably does. Corruption this deep doesn't get eliminated overnight. But we've broken the network's spine. The rest will be cleanup operations. And if she's right? If there are more administrators out there? Jake smiled. Then we'll find them too. That's the job. 1 week later, I stood outside the federal courthouse where my legal career had effectively ended. Judge Martinez was being arraigned inside, facing 147 federal charges. The media circus was insane. Daniel Park found me in the crowd. How are you holding up? I'm not sure. I spent 12 years building a career that turned out to be completely manipulated. Every victory was predetermined. Every case was theater. Not every case. The work you did exposing all of this, that was real. The victims you helped, that was real. Was it? Or was I just Jake's puppet, dancing on strings I couldn't see? Daniel was quiet for a moment. Does it matter? You made choices. You chose to confess your fraud rather than let it be used against you. You chose to expose corruption even when it cost you everything. You chose to stage a fake murder rather than commit a real one. Those were your choices, Victoria. Nobody controlled those. I watched federal marshals escort Martinez into the courthouse. She looked small, diminished, no longer the powerful judge who'd controlled a nationwide corruption network. What are you going to do? Daniel asked. I don't know. Jake offered me a job at Sentinel. Maya wants me to walk away from all of this, start fresh somewhere quiet. My lawyer instincts say I should rebuild my reputation and fight for reinstatement. What does Victoria Sterling want? I thought about that question. What did I want? For 12 years I'd wanted success. Then I'd wanted to expose corruption. Then I'd wanted to save Maya. I'd spent so long reacting to circumstances that I'd forgotten to want anything for myself. I want to matter, I said finally. I want my work to mean something beyond billable hours and win-loss records. I want to fight for people who can't fight for themselves. Then you already know your answer. I accepted Jake's offer. Sentinel's legal director position came with no public recognition, no courtroom victories, no professional prestige. But it came with something better, purpose. My first assignment was reviewing case files from Martinez's network, identifying wrongful convictions that needed to be overturned. There were hundreds. Each one represented a life destroyed by corruption. Maya went back to California to finish her graduate degree, but we talked every day. She'd forgiven me for the dangerous life I'd dragged her into. I wasn't sure I'd forgiven myself. Marcus Chin sent me a check for $10 million, his way of thanking me for exposing the corruption that had targeted him. I split it between Sentinel's operations fund and a victim compensation account we'd established. Agent Morrison, the real Rebecca Morrison who'd been exposed as a foreign agent, was facing trial in federal court. Her case would take years to resolve, but at least she'd face justice. And me? I was learning that justice wasn't what I'd been taught in law school. It wasn't about courtroom victories or legal precedents. It was about the boring, difficult, unglamorous work of fixing broken systems one case at a time. 3 months after accepting the position, I was reviewing files when Jake walked into my office. We've got a new situation. A network in Chicago that looks like it might be one of Martinez's contingencies. Financial patterns match, case manipulation signature is similar. We need someone to go undercover, get close to the lawyers involved, gather evidence. Undercover work? I'm a legal director, not an operative. You're whatever the job requires. That's what makes you valuable. He handed me a file. There's a law firm in Chicago hiring. They're looking for consultants who don't need active licenses. Your reputation as the disbarred lawyer who exposed corruption might actually make you attractive to them. I opened the file. It was thick, detailed, complex. Exactly the kind of case that would take months to build. Exactly the kind of case I'd spent my entire career preparing to handle. When do I start? Next week. Unless you're having second thoughts. I thought about Judge Martinez sitting in federal prison. I thought about the 16,500 victims who'd received restitution. I thought about the wrongful convictions we'd overturned. I thought about Maya, safe and free because I'd refused to stay silent. No second thoughts. Let's do this. 6 months later, I was sitting in a Chicago coffee shop, meeting with an attorney who didn't know I was gathering evidence against him. The conversation was being recorded. The case was coming together. My phone buzzed with a news alert. Former Judge Patricia Martinez found dead in prison. Apparent suicide. I excused myself from the meeting and called Jake immediately. Did you see the news? I saw it. I don't believe it. Neither do I. Martinez wasn't the type to kill herself. She believed in contingencies, backup plans, survival at any cost. So if she didn't kill herself, then someone killed her. Someone who wanted to silence her before she could reveal more about the network's structure. There was a long pause. This isn't over, is it? It was never going to be over, Victoria. Corruption this deep doesn't end with one arrest, one trial, one victory. It's a war we fight one battle at a time. Then let's keep fighting. I hung up and returned to my meeting with the corrupt attorney, my recorder capturing every word. Outside, Chicago continued its daily rhythm. Somewhere in the city, another lawyer was manipulating evidence. Another judge was taking a bribe. Another victim was being failed by the system. But somewhere else, teams like Sentinel were watching, gathering evidence, preparing cases, fighting corruption that official channels couldn't touch. The legal system was broken. But it wasn't beyond repair. And I had 5 years until my license was reinstated. 5 years to fight from the shadows. 5 years to make a difference. 5 years to prove that Victoria Sterling, the shadow lawyer, was just getting started.